Hello, hello, my beautiful souls. Welcome to the intuitive card reading for the week of February 2nd through February 8th, first full week of February. Please like this video. Please share this video with anybody that needs to hear the influences and energies of the week. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Comments go down below. What else do I have to tell you guys? Same 3 decks that I've been using, shuffled. I'm pretty sure they're in a different order. If not, this is the order that feels intuitively right for me for this reading. And yeah, that's it. One other thing, stay warm. I know we've had some crazy weather in the last couple of weeks. I know some people's power has been out, I've been seeing online, so definitely stay warm. It's about 10 degrees here, and I'm freezing. I've got a blanket over me, actually. It is cold, so definitely stay warm, guys, and stay safe. So, all right, with that being said, let's just jump right into it. What do we need? What do we need for this first full week? Okay, we have Queen in the Shadow. Becomes arrogant when authority is challenged, controlling and demanding. Okay, so what do we need? We need to stop being this way. It's really what Spirit is saying. So any controlling behavior, we've gotten this like on and off, like trying to control things, trying to manipulate things. Demanding is also on that card. Definitely feel that through this energy. So definitely any kind of controlling or demanding behavior, we really need to cut that out or call it out. Do I feel like it's talking about us? Yes, but it could also be talking maybe coming from someone else. It is the Queen energy, so more than likely it might be somebody that identifies as a woman that might be doing this, or somebody that has maybe like heavy on the more yin type qualities. Maybe like maybe there's like a softer person in your life who is controlling and demanding and that kind of thing. Could be your mother, could be a yin type boss or manager or something like that could be kind of controlling or demanding. But again, it could also just be us. Look at our own behaviors, what we're doing. Are we trying to control other people? Are we trying to control outcomes? Are we being too demanding? This might be being too high maintenance. That could translate that way as well. But yeah, too arrogant, too, like I said, high maintenance. Yeah, we kind of have to look at our own behavior. And like I said, it could be coming to, this behavior could be coming at us. So also look at that as well. But whatever it is, we don't need that type of energy in our life. Like we have to start to make a plan to, whether it's ourselves, heal ourselves, or maybe make boundaries if it's coming from another person. All right, action needed, wisdom. Okay, so we need to so it's under the action card. So basically it's saying that we need to take action on our wisdom. So basically it's saying that you need to take action on something that you know better. Like, that you have, when they say like when you know better you do better, it's kind of like that, right? And it's kind of saying like, what's the right thing to do, what is the wise thing to do. You have learned in this situation before, so you need to implement what you've learned from the situation that has happened previously. So this could be like some kind of situation coming up and you handling it differently, because you have a lot more wisdom, or you're a lot wiser. So it could be like this week something coming up that maybe has come up in the past and you again have handled it differently, and now you're able to handle it in a more mature and wise way. But it's under action needed, so it definitely feels like something needs your attention, and something needs needs to, like, it's an action item for you, basically. So yeah, you're definitely going to handle it with more wisdom, and that's a really good thing. So you might be feeling like a sense of accomplishment this week, regarding that, or it might kind of rectify your behavior from the past. Maybe it's as simple as, I just mentioned that the weather is really cold. Maybe your pipes burst you know, and you handled it a certain way, which was kind of, I don't own a house, so I actually do not know the correct and incorrect way to how to handle a burst pipe. So, you know, maybe in the past that has happened to you in like last winter and you handled it in maybe an incorrect way, and now it kind of happened again and you handled it in the correct way. Now you're much more mature, you've already had the experience, you know what to do now, right? That's what it's kind of the vibe there. So yeah, I like that. So definitely give yourselves the pat on the back that you need, because that's what Spirit is saying. It's saying like you're handling this in a wiser and more mature way. All right, issue, no place like home. Okay, so we have a message right off the bat. We're having an issue going home. We're having a issue returning home. So this could be an actual, my flight is canceled, I cannot go back to my home. You know, like you might have travel issues this week for sure. That could definitely be that. Like, I cannot get back to my home. I'm stuck here because of the weather or whatever, or because of X, Y, or Z or whatever. So you might have an issue going back to home because of logistics, basically. And something beyond your control, right? It makes sense why we kind of get that. That definitely could be connected to that queen, where it's basically saying like we got to kind of relinquish control, right? We can't, you know, it's beyond our power if we're in an airport that does not have any flights that go back home. Okay, that is something that is beyond our control, right? This could be that maybe you're like afraid to go back home, like maybe you're afraid to visit family, because you're going to argue politically or something, you know, or like there's just some kind of issue about getting back home, whether that's like where you grew up, or it could be just like your literal home. You're just having like it could be, like I said, access issues, travel issues, you know, maybe, you know, fear within yourself, meaning, you know, as I mentioned, like maybe you're afraid to talk to your parents right now or something like that, or, yeah, there's some kind of issue that's kind of preventing you from going home. Now, again, another thing could be that home is our body, right? Because our soul lives in our body. So basically, it could say that we're having trouble getting back to our body. So for other people, I know this is a reading for the collective, so, you know, it could be very different things for different people and how it translates, but this could be you're having issues getting back to your old body. Okay, we had a message about February. If you guys didn't check out the February reading, I published it. The premiere was Saturday night, so go back and watch that. But I definitely got like so many messages about appearance, changing how we look, like things like that. So that very much could be this. You know, where we're having issues getting back to our old body. Like maybe we can't get back there. Maybe you just had a baby and you're putting so much pressure on yourself to kind of get back there. Right? And so we're having issues kind of getting back to it, but it's okay. You know, there's a really good chance that you're not going to be exactly like that. You know, you're not exactly going to have the same body that you did before you gave birth, like things like that. So yeah, definitely getting lots of issues in these areas for sure. And it can very much be that, considering February's message as a, you know, as a whole, as a monthly message, and then this is the first full week of February, so makes sense. All right, what are we challenged with? What else are we challenged with? Rebel rejects legitimate authority out of anger, rebels out of peer pressure or fashion. Okay, so this is kind of like, it's kind of saying like rebelling to rebel, not necessarily because of a specific cause or something. So it's like a little different from Avenger, and it's in the shadow, so it kind of presents this way. So we might just be like protesting just to protest. How do I say this? And I don't want to make it seem like I'm trying to say that what's going on in the world, which is some crazy stuff in America, in Iran too, you know, and, you know, but I live in America, so I'm very, you know, very aware of what's going on here. I'm not saying any of the protesting, you know, let me backtrack a little bit. I'm not saying that any of the protesting is for nothing, but this is basically saying like we are rejecting something to reject something is maybe a better way to say it, maybe not protest. Reject something to reject something, like we like non-conformity, I think is maybe the word that I'm looking for here, is like we don't want to conform to something, like we are we don't want to be doing what everybody else is doing. So this is a tough one, but just feels like it feels challenging. Like, let me see if I can think of an example off the top of my head real quick, but it as I tried to interpret these energies, it's just kind of like we don't want to conform to something anymore. We want to, we don't want to, like it almost feels like we're starting to feel like we just don't want to, the things that maybe we've tried to fit in before, we just don't want to fit in anymore. Like it just feels like we just do not want to conform and do what everybody else is doing just for the sake of like that, like of the fitting in thing, not because it's like against our values, or, you know, if it was like against our values, it would be more in the light, but it's in the shadows. So it's kind of like saying like, just because we don't want to fit in, right? So we're having challenges with non-conformity and conforming, really like fitting, in the way of like we don't want to fit in is the best way I can kind of say it. So hopefully I'm like explaining that correctly. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that would make sense. Give me a second. Like for an example or a metaphor of some kind, but I don't know, like maybe you just feel like you want to change up your fashion sense just to change it up. Like you don't necessarily, you know, you want to change your look and just like say like, I don't know, like kind of just like maybe you wake up this week and you're like, I just kind of want to dye my hair purple, you know, like I just feel like I don't want to conform anymore. And there's nothing behind it except I just want to be different, you know, and it's not because blonde, you know, your previous blonde hair is, you know, against your values or anything. It's just quite literally, I just want to be different, right? So you might do something different. And that actually makes sense coming off of what I was just talking about, changing the appearance. So definitely could be, you know, appearance-wise for sure. So that's very interesting there. Guys, I just keep getting these things about changing our appearance. It's very, very interesting. You guys got to let me know down below if you end up changing your appearance, not even just this week, this month. Okay, so I would love to hear how this manifested, basically, for you guys. All right, change. What's changing? Oak tree, ancestors, another tree. Okay, so basically it's saying ancestors. All right, so I love this under change because this could mean, like, so family stuff is changing. Especially ancestors could always kind of be attached to like generational trauma and how your previous, you know, how your parents handle things, how your grandparents handle things, and beyond. So basically it's saying that that's changing. So a lot of things in our family dynamics are changing. The way you parent might be changing. The way that you relate to your parents might be changing. The way you even relate to your kids, the way that you approach parenting or different ways of parenting definitely could change for sure this week. Making your ancestors proud, it just might be, you know, something beyond that, meaning like you're breaking glass ceilings when it comes to family. Maybe you're deciding to go to college and you're the first one in your family lineage that actually decided to do that, and that's going to be doing that, and you learn that you're accepted to college this week or something like that. You know, something along the lines of like breaking the glass ceiling and then breaking generational patterns that maybe weren't the healthiest, because I definitely see it as like it's definitely like saying like, no, this is like in a positive way things are changing. So I like that. I mean, either way, those are really great things, and you should be really proud of yourself because those are not easy feats. Okay, so I love that. It's a pretty big change for a weekly, but you could be seeing the fruits of that labor this week for sure. All right, focus on peace. Yes, okay, definitely. I talked last week about, and I mean, I just mentioned it in this reading, things are a little chaotic out there. Find your peace. Maybe, you know, stay informed best you can, but if you need to shut off the TV or stop doom scrolling, then please do that. So definitely focus on peace. There's not too much I can say there. It's pretty straightforward. Find peace any way that you can. So boundaries as well. And that comes after I was talking about boundaries with the Queen energy too. All right, reflect is upside down. Slave, giving your willpower to an external authority out of fear and making your own choices. Okay, so this is actually a really good reflect card because it's basically saying like, Where are you not choosing? Where are you letting other people make the decisions for you? Where are you on autopilot in your life? These are really great journal prompts coming from the Reflect this week. Yeah, where are you letting things, where are you being just complicit in your life? Like just letting things go, like I said, on autopilot. You kind of have to like look at those things and see if they're serving you anymore. That's basically what it's saying. So that's a good one. That's a really good one. Responsibilities. Moss, adaptability. Okay, we haven't got one of these cards in a while, saying that we need to be adaptable or flexible, but that's basically what it's saying. So your responsibilities are to be as adaptable as possible. So could be another week of just things not going your way. That definitely could be linked to what I was talking to up here about the wisdom card, any of these, right? Like the first three cards there really almost like foreshadow, things might not be going your way, whether it's like travel issues or, an old, issue resurfacing, but handling it differently, and then the controlling and demanding energy. So definitely be as adaptable as possible. That's your responsibility. Keep yourself calm, cool, and collected, but definitely be as adaptable as possible. Money, finances, and career. What do we got going on here? Flexible. Well, look at that. 2 cards in a row. Pretty much saying the same thing. So basically, to me, it's like double, right? So it's basically saying money, finances, and career, be as flexible. The thing that might not go your way this week is probably most likely financial or career related. You don't have to tell me twice, Spirit, so it's just telling us to be as flexible and adaptable as possible when it comes to work stuff, career stuff, and money stuff. Like even those examples that I just gave above about the things like not happening, like your pipe bursting and maybe travel plans being canceled or, interrupted. Those are all having to do with money. Financially, having a pipe burst can be extremely financially burdensome. Okay. And so could travel plans. You might have to stay an extra night somewhere, and so you have to pay for that hotel. And, you guys know how travel is for the most part. So be as flexible as possible for sure. Don't go off the deep end if you have to spend more money. It's basically what Spirit is saying here. All right, surprise. Judge, balancing justice and compassion, managing the fair distribution of power. I like this card. And I like it under surprise. So basically, I like this for America. So basically it's saying there's a surprise moment of justice this week. So I like that. Somebody being held accountable, something being held accountable, as we can tell, like on a broader scale. I could think of like a million examples about who should be held accountable, including what's in those files, if you get what I'm saying. That would be a wonderful, wonderful surprise for sure, because it seems like the safest place to be is in those files. It seems like everybody else is getting in trouble except the elite who have abused these children, but I won't go into it. You guys know what I'm talking about. So there is some kind of surprise justice happening, some surprise accountability that's happening, but on a smaller scale, like in your personal life. Maybe if there's somebody at work maybe that you feel like needing to be held accountable for something, or be reprimanded or something like that, then this could definitely be the week that it happens. Also too, if you're involved with something legally, you could get a surprise, maybe out of nowhere, like somebody settles with you. You've been battling something for like a long time, maybe a lawsuit, and then finally somebody settles, or the case goes in your favor, the judge rules on your behalf or something like that. Okay, and I'm not a legal analyst or anything in that nature, but sometimes legal stuff does come through for me, not always, but that could definitely be related to that judge card for sure. It's quite literally says judge. So all right, friends, we have Honeybee Community. Okay, we keep getting this card. So basically integrate into your community more, lean on your community more, seek out friends in your community, that kind of thing. It's not a week to, we actually haven't had this card in a while. We haven't really had any solitude cards or spending time alone or being like a little bit more introverted. I know we still have 4 cards left, but we've been getting the community instead. So this is continuously Spirit is continuously asking us to kind of get out of our comfort zone, and meet new people and get into the community, and integrate a little bit more. Again, especially since we've got some weird stuff going on in the world. So, it's and especially since, I talked about in some previous readings, like the ending of third spaces, a lot of like isolation because we're chronically online, like things like that. So, definitely is continuously asking us to integrate into the community. All right, romantic connection. We have chaos and conflict. Okay, so, I don't love this for romantic connection, but definitely, guys, not gonna lie, I always tell you the truth. Might be a fight. You might have a fight with your significant other this week. You might be conflicting on views or conflicting around things, around... Honestly, like, I'm not going to lie to you guys, it feels a little major, okay? Might not just be like somebody forgot to do the dishes or something. This definitely feels big, could be like a clash of values, could be like, maybe it is like somebody didn't do the dishes, but it's like death by 1,000 cuts. Like they continuously do not pull their weight around the house. And so kind of like blows up this week, right? I definitely do feel like conflicting. It's not the smoothest week for our romantic connections. If you're single, I would say probably if you could take a week off from dating. Again, use your intuition, as I always say, use your intuition, but it might be a little chaotic of a week for love in general, so you might maybe want to hold off. All right, important. Trickster upside down, manipulating others through duplicity. Okay, so this is about like making jokes maybe where they're inappropriate. I think we actually got this card maybe in the health and wellness section about like humor healing, and that's guys, this is what I mean by like light and shadow. Like some things are not inherently bad or inherently good. It's the yin to the yang, right? So this is basically saying this week, maybe hold off on the jokes a little bit, right? It's it's under importance, so maybe it's saying like it's important to know when to joke, or when to joke around with somebody, maybe when to not make jokes, like, so you kind of have to use a little bit of like social awareness this week, so watch that. If you're in situations where it's not appropriate to make jokes, just pull that back. Keep your sarcasm in check this week. Just make sure you're not necessarily misreading the room is probably the best way to say it. Health and wellness. We've got apple tree. We've got a lot of trees. Okay, I'm noticing here. All the trees. I don't know if there's another tree in there, but we have oak tree, apple tree, cedar tree. So very interesting. And then we have the moss. Lots of greenery. So, I mean, a thing here that Spirit might be hinting, like an underlying energy here is like maybe like get a little grounded this week, okay? Hug a tree if you can. I know it's not necessarily possible in some places in the country because it's, like 10 degrees or something. So if you can't get outside, that's okay. But something is telling me that it might be best to get into nature or get grounded in some way, even if it is cold. But anyway, so we have abundance under health and wellness. I like this one, okay? We keep getting good ones under health and wellness that I like. So basically it's saying abundance. So you're about to eat the fruits of your labor, right? You might be feeling that this week where you feel like things are in abundance in health and wellness. Like could also be like a lot of resources available to you. Like an abundance of resources. Like if you found out that you have like a rare condition or a disease or something like in the last couple of months, maybe this is the week that you discovered that there's actually an abundance of ways of how to tackle this disease. You know, there's not, you know, a scarcity of like resources about the disease, like online, you know, you can find the stuff. There's a bunch of doctors by you. Like there's like the idea of abundance is like there is no scarcity, right? There is no scarcity here. So you have like it's basically saying like you have options, like you have a plethora of, you know, of things to choose from is kind of what it's saying. So it is abundant. It is never running out. It is always available to you, kind of thing. So yeah, that's the example I gave. That's the one I can think off the top of my head, but again, could manifest in so many different ways. Love to hear it down below. Yeah, I love this. It's a really good one for health and wellness for sure. Okay, last card. What is the overall outcome? Why? Okay. All right, so basically overall outcome says why. This is like you know, it could be linked to like self-awareness. This could be about curiosity, like definitely getting curious, asking yourself deeper questions, becoming more aware of what we want. This could mean for sure. This could be just by being curious about other people, but maybe about just like things in general that you don't know, maybe even things that you don't know about yourself. So definitely, like I said, could be more linked to self-awareness, like asking these questions, asking the hard questions. So yeah, it definitely feels like there is a energy of like reflectiveness, like maybe self-reflection or just reflection in general. Yeah, anything that helps us do that more, I think is like a positive thing. Even though, like I mentioned, that this week doesn't seem like it's like, you know, we're isolating or spending time alone or anything. And usually, you know, reflection does come with that. But something tells me that we might have more time to ourselves than usual, not on purpose. Could also possibly be, like I mentioned, like you are maybe like stuck in an airport, so you have like extra time. Like I almost just feel like there might be like extra time or moments this week that we have available to us to kind of get more curious about ourselves or how the world works and things like that. So that's what I mean. So I like that. I mean, anything that makes us, you know, anything that helps us discover who we are and discover more, you know, about the world, more knowledge in general is never a bad thing. That is for sure. So yeah, I like this week, guys. I saw a couple things I didn't like. I don't like the chaos and conflict and romantic connection. A little bit of a red flag here. Do your best in your romantic connections for sure is the best way I can say it. Yeah, the issues and the challenges this week. The rebel, not so bad. This, you know, I do feel a lot of frustration coming from that card. Like you just can't get home. You know, whether it's back to your body, back to your house, back to your parents' house, back to your family's house, like whatever it is, back to your hometown, you know, back to where you live, whatever it actually is. It feels frustrating for sure. So I definitely consider that maybe a red flag. So yeah, okay, a couple of red flags. But remember the adaptability and the flexibility that you guys have for sure. That's it, guys. That is it. Okay, I hope you have a wonderful week. Like I said, stay warm, okay? Stay warm, stay hopeful, and I should say stay faithful. Remember, everything is working out for you all of the time, whether we can see it yet or not. So, all right. Have a good one, guys. Bye. See you in the next one.